Have you ever had this question? I feel so stuck in life. How can I help myself feel happy? Hi, I'm Dr. Paul Jenkins. I am your positivity psychologist. And as a professional psychologist, I can help you understand the psychology first, and then I'll give you 4 practical steps that you can immediately apply to increase your happiness today. Here's a quick overview of the psychology. Back in graduate school, they called this the cognitive triad. That's just fancy psychobabble for what you think, what you feel, and what you do. Those 3 things, that's why they called it a triad. And here's how those 3 things relate to each other. What you think determines how you feel. This is one of the errors that a lot of people make because they think or assume that their feelings are caused by their circumstances, what's going on in their life. Well, what we know about this is that circumstances are neutral. You can have 2 very different people going through exactly the same circumstances and having totally different experiences with it. That's because it's not the circumstances that cause your feelings, it's your thoughts. That's part of the cognitive triad. What we think determines how we feel. Now, what we feel affects what we do. Because remember, the 3 are thoughts, feelings, and actions. What we feel determines what we do. Think about it. This has happened to you probably today. You maybe forced yourself to do something you didn't feel like doing. Or maybe you did exactly what you felt. Our feelings affect what we do. And then what we do has an impact on how we think. Partially because it creates new results for us in our life. And then our results become our new circumstances and we have thoughts about those. So what we do impacts how we think. I've asked a lot of people this question over almost 3 decades now of clinical experience. Think, feel, do. Those 3. Which one would you guess most people would say is the hardest to control? Now, there's different answers to this. The most common answer is feelings. And that makes sense. Well, let's start with what you do. I just gave you an example of how sometimes you can get yourself to do something even if you don't feel like it. You can force yourself to do it, right? And in the case of habits, it gets a little trickier because sometimes those are really hard to change or break. Thinking, let's go there. This is a tricky one. Can you control what you think? I don't know. Let's test that. Try this. Think about bananas. Can you do that? Picture the banana. You can think about its shape and texture and taste and color. You got it? You got the bananas going? You going bananas? Yeah, we'll talk about that later maybe. Notice how easy it is to think about bananas. Now, try this. Do not think about grapefruit. I do not want you thinking about those big round fruits, the sour ones that squirt you in the eye when you stick a spoon in them. Do not think about grapefruit. How you doing? Yeah, you blew it, didn't you? It's almost impossible to not think about something when we tell ourselves, oh, I need to not think about that. Obsessive compulsive patterns get built on this dynamic. Just notice that thoughts are tricky. And sometimes thoughts come in without your invitation. So notice that. And thoughts are just thoughts. But what about the feelings? If I were to ask you, okay, I want you to feel sad right now. How do I do that? The way that you would do that is think of something sad, right? And when you think of something sad, the feeling just kind of follows it. And then what if I said, okay, now cheer up? And you're like, thanks, Doc. Wow, that really helped. No, it didn't really help. In fact, it's kind of annoying, and I might get a black eye for that. You can't just turn off the feelings just like that, and it's annoying if somebody suggests that you can. I've long been a proponent of helping people understand how happiness is a choice instead of just telling them that it is. because that's annoying and offensive, quite frankly. We have to get to the psychology behind it, and the cognitive triad will help you to understand that psychology. Thoughts lead to feelings. Feelings determine how you show up or what your actions are, and that creates your results, and then you have thoughts about that, and so we're back to the races. Notice that it's happening, and that will help you to see maybe where you're getting stuck. Am I stuck in my feelings? Well, what are the thoughts that are driving those feelings? Or is it my actions that I'm having trouble with? Like I can't get out of bed, or I seem to be stuck in the same rut all the time? What are the feelings that you have that have you showing up that way, and what are the thoughts that are supporting those feelings? It's really pretty straightforward when we get down to those three. And when I say it's straightforward, I don't mean it's easy, because your brain is already used to whatever you've practiced doing. And sometimes it takes a little bit of work and maybe a little bit of coaching and some input to get there. So let's get to those practical steps that I promised you at the beginning. But before I get to that, would you just take a moment to hit that subscribe button? That way I can be part of your team. I promise I'll continue to bring videos that are geared toward your happiness and success. Hit the subscribe button, that's your part. Bringing you new videos, that's my part. Now here's step number 1. Turn on your metacognition. Metacognition is just a fancy psychological word that means thinking about thinking. This ties right into the psychology that I just shared with you. Metacognition puts you back into a position of control over your thoughts, or at least choice, if not control. Because when the thoughts occur to you, you can choose to roll with that or to pick a different thought. Metacognition allows you to do that. It just means thinking about your thinking. I invite you to do that right now, because we're going to do some things with your thoughts. Step number 2, I want you to pay very close attention to the inputs. I just did a training not too long ago with a room full of people. In this training, I demonstrated to the audience how much the inputs matter, as I had 2/3 of the audience close their eyes and I showed the other third a certain set of words. And then I had that third close their eyes, second third opened their eyes, and I showed them a different set of words. And the third group got a whole different set of words. And then I had everybody open their eyes and I showed them a word with a missing letter. I asked, what is the missing letter? And I got 3 different answers from those 3 groups of people because of the words I had already shown them. Now, the word that I showed them was just, it could have been any of 3 different words, but the input that I gave them beforehand programmed their mind to select the word that went with their set of words. This isn't highly scientific, and it makes perfect sense when you realize that the input matters. In the computer industry, they've got a term, GIGO. Have you heard that one? What it stands for is garbage in, garbage out, GIGO. GIGO. When you put garbage into your mind, what do you think you're going to get out? Pay close attention and select carefully what the inputs are to your wonderful mind. What are you watching? What are you listening to? What are you reading? Those are the inputs, and they matter. If you're feeling stuck and depressed, let's just do a little inventory of what kind of input's coming in. You know what? I choose to ignore, for the most part, the news. Why? Because it is so negative for the most part. I don't want to put that kind of stuff into my head. And it's not really news. Most of it is sensationalized, or it has some kind of a political spin that I don't even agree with. So be very selective about those inputs. You know what? I want to give you a little free gift there. I've put together a list of my top 10 favorite personal development books. This is a current list. I just made it. And it's available to you. Go to the URL on the screen, drpauljenkins.com/best books. Just go there after we finish this conversation here today, and you'll get a list of my top 10 favorites. I'll give you the title and the author, and then you can go have some fun with that. You're welcome. Now, in step 2, we talked about changing the inputs. Let's go to another area of that cognitive triad, what you do. And my invitation there is to immediately change something about what you do habitually. This could be as simple as choosing the other foot to put your shoe on first. You know how when you put on your shoes, it's usually in a particular order. You're into a habit. Just switch it up. In fact, if you really want to have a powerful experience with this, switch which shoe goes on which foot. Now you might be thinking that's not comfortable. Yeah, I know, but that's part of the point. When we get comfortable in our routines, we can get stuck or trapped in a rut. And would it really hurt you to wear the left shoe on the right foot and the right shoe on the left foot for a little while? I'm not even saying you have to do it all day long, but this will change things up for you. Use your other hand to brush your teeth. Put your watch, if it's normally on your left arm, on your right arm. Just pick something, and it doesn't have to even make sense. What we're doing is we're breaking a pattern for your brain. We get into habits. There's a couple of books, these aren't even on the list that I promised you, but they could be. Atomic Habits by James Clear and The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. In fact, I'd read them in reverse order because James Clear actually expounds on some of the basic principles that Charles Duhigg presented in his book. It talks about habit, both of these books, and how we program our brain. Look how many things are just programmed in. And whatever we practice consistently over time, we get better at, even if it's not helpful to us. So changing it up just helps to break that pattern in your mind. Do some things differently. Give it a try. That's step 3. Here's step 4. Now, you may not be able to do this right now, right here today, but maybe you could too. Hire a coach or a counselor or a therapist, somebody that you can talk to about your thinking, because we get stuck inside of our own head and it's almost impossible to just bust out of that all on our own. One of my coaches, and yes, I hire coaches. I've got 3 right now that are working for me to help me keep my head in a space where I can serve you. I think all coaches need coaches. I think it's something we should do as a matter of course. I was starting to tell you what one of my coaches told me. It's like we're inside of a bottle, if you can picture that. And there's instructions for getting outside of our bottle, but they're printed on the label. And you can't read the label from inside of the bottle, so you need somebody to read the label to you. That's what coaches do. And think of a sporting analogy as well. I'm a big fan of the Utah Jazz. My favorite player right now, Donovan Mitchell. Love that guy. He is so talented. One of the best basketball players I've ever witnessed. And he is so coachable. His coach, Quinn Snyder, is one of the top coaches in the NBA, but he's not as good of a basketball player as Donovan is. See, that's not the purpose of a coach. The coach is there to read the label to you. The coach is there to help you take your performance to a higher level and to see things that you can't see because you're blind to it. You're still stuck inside of your own bottle. That's step 4, hire a coach. And if you can't find one, I'd be happy to be your coach. We've got coaching programs for you that are very affordable. And I'm not trying to sell that to you. I just want you to make sure that you've got people on your team who can help you to see what you're probably missing. So here's a quick recap of those 4 steps. Number 1, turn on your metacognition. You think about your thinking. Number 2, pay attention to and carefully select your inputs. What are you listening to? What are you reading? Remember, I gave you a resource for that. drpauljenkins.com/best books. Go get it. I'll give you a list of my favorite ones. Step 3, change something about your habits. Change what you do. Put the shoes on in a different order. Take a cold shower. Do something different from what you normally do. It's going to break those patterns and open up your thinking. And finally, hire a coach. You don't have to do this on your own. There are a lot of good people in this world who can help you to have a more successful and happy life. Now, while you're still thinking about how you're going to do those 4 steps, I've got another video for you, how you can reprogram your mind to stay strong and positive. Cue that one up next. Let's continue this conversation.